I will say too, Atlantis is fucking insane.
Oh my God.
It's like ridiculous.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
They're crushing it.
Yeah. They're like a smooth Trojan.
Yeah. Exactly. Welcome to the coachemup podcast. I'm Tim Riley. I'm joined as always with Zack Zillner.
Welcome, welcome.
And man, we are so pumped to have Ryan Fischer on the show today. Ryan, what's up, man?
I'm very excited to be here. I've actually seen this place we're at the Collective Gym. I've seen this place on social media many, many times.
Nice.
Did not disappoint. I walked in and I was like, right on.
Hell yeah. Yes, I'm glad we didn't disappoint just immediately upon your arrival. So that's really good to know.
Yeah, that's typically like how most of my dates go. I'm just like hoping that I'm not shorter than they thought that
Hey, me too. I get it.
So look, Ryan, actually, we were talking before the show and turns out I don't know as much about you as I thought I did.
Yeah.
But I know who you are. Zack knows who you are. Maybe not everyone listening knows who you are. So can you give us the Ryan Fischer elevator pitch, who you are and how you ended up with us?
Yeah, I guess so. I think I haven't actually been asked that question like that in a long time. I guess I create training programs that get people in the best shape possible. That's always been my plan, was to be able to just create the best nutrition and training programs possible, have my own spin on it that makes it very unique, makes it stand out as one of one. I believe that a business has one of two things. You're either a unique selling mechanism or you have a unique selling proposition. So you either have something that no one else has or you deliver it in a way that no one else can. So I used to always like to create something that no one else had. That would be like my full body aesthetics program, which is like a unique kind of bodybuilding style program. So from there, I've developed one-on-one coaching part of the business as well. The app itself has 43,000 members worldwide.
Hold on, pause, time out. That's not 43 or 4,300, 43,000 people.
The size of a big city. All on top.
Yeah.
Literally, the town I grew up in has way less people than that. So I don't mean to interrupt, but congratulations, that's monumental.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, it all started with a gym. And I have a gym in Orange County, California. And I actually thought that was going to be it. You know, I just thought that would just be what I'd be doing. And, you know, about a year after I started that, I was like, I made a terrible decision. I'm making less money. I'm working 3 times the hours. And
this is an average gym owner. This is a common gym owner experience. Yeah. It's very discouraging to anyone thinking about opening a gym, honestly.
I remember literally going to bed and I was like, I think I'm just going to cry before I go to bed. I really fucked this up. Like before I opened the gym, I was a personal trainer making way more money.
Yeah, man.
And then this one person came in the gym and changed my life. Like this girl, this lady, her name is Marge. She was from Michigan and it was like her 3rd time dropping in. She's like, Ryan, I really think you should put your workouts online. And I was like, I just like don't see anyone wanting to pay for that. There's so much stuff for free.
Right.
And then she's like, no, but they're your workouts and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know. And then she's like, I'll start your Facebook group for you and get you like a little community going. Wow. And then you should just do it.
Who's that, Marge?
Yeah.
Shout out Marge. Big shout out Marge, dude.
I've never actually said this publicly who this person is. Because I don't want to get in trouble. Yeah. It's like now this person's very big in politics.
Oh. Okay.
I can say her name right now.
Say it, dude.
Marge Green. Do you know who Marjorie Green is?
Yes, dude.
Yeah, she's like the person down from like Trump.
Wow.
I've always wanted to, I have a picture of her and I like at my gym at the front. And at the time,
that is honestly fucking mind blowing. What are the odds of that?
She wasn't into politics at all at the time. And I've always wanted to post a photo of her and just like say thank you and like have this big thing, but I'm like, I don't want anyone.
It's kind of polarizing, right? Yeah.
It's one of those things you should never talk about politics, so I'd never posted it. But man, that lady changed my life. And I actually texted her about a year ago, and I was like, hey, like, I've made a lot of money because of you, and I really want to thank. Like, you completely changed my life. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a big deal. But it's a shame that, you know, we live in a world nowadays where you post a picture of a Republican and your whole following could be gone. I'm just like, man, I just wanted to say a nice thing.
Just say thank you for giving me the nudge.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? You just never know when you're going to meet someone or have an interaction and like, I just can't help but think too. It's like, what if you were just in a bad mood when she decided to drop in? What if you know what I mean?
That's one of my non-negotiables in life. So like, I believe that everyone should have like non-negotiables that they live their life by. I think that's basically the foundation of what happens in your life. You get what you give, basically, right? And I always made a pledge to myself that I would always bring the best version of myself into every single room I go to and always try to be unforgettable is my thing. I would be so embarrassed if you're like, what was it like meeting Ryan Fischer? And you're like, he was okay.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
ooh, like I would be awake at night.
So can I tell a quick story?
Yeah.
So you just said be unforgettable is what you said, right? So I DM Ryan to ask him to come on the show. He responds quickly. Okay. I said, dude, what's your number? Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
He says, let's fucking go. He gives me his number and I text him. I say, yo, this is Tim. And he sends me just a fist and like lasers. And I'm thinking, this guy, I slid into the right DM.
This is not a chat bot.
This is working. Like we're on the same page
Well, he
here.
texted me yesterday. He was like, Ryan Fischer, tomorrow, be there. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, how'd you make it? Because usually it's like a back and forth, you know, your typical.
month goes by.
Yeah,
Yes.
like maybe I can make it happen. We'll see, whatever. And he's like, tomorrow, be there.
And so I get this fucking light show in my text messages, and I just said, ha ha ha, incredible or something like that. And he responded with, be unforgettable.
Wow. Did you have that on a shirt?
So he's not just
I know.
blowing smoke is what
Yeah.
I'm saying, folks. That's,
And I actually forgot about that. Like that's how it's ingrained in me to just always like kind of leave that mark. And I just feel like when you leave a mark like that, like, I don't know, like maybe you do another podcast down the road and maybe you're fucking the next Joe Rogan and you're just like, I want to have Ryan on it again. He was really cool. And I just feel like you should always be trying to leave that mark. And I've always tried to do that ever since. And I feel like that's worked out well for me.
What are some of your other non-negotiables?
To like every single day, like get some sort of fitness in, whether it's like the last couple days I didn't really get to train because my biological dad was in town. And I don't know how much you guys know about
Yeah,
that, but
I saw
I
that,
just kind of met him like 2 years ago, which has been insane, by the way.
and he's fucking jacked.
He is. And everyone's like, dude, so your abs are just genetic. Like fucking, you know, this is,
Dad's been doing abs for a while.
dude, every meal that we go out to, it's so crazy. Like it's insane
guys
how
like the same
similar we
stuff
are.
and everything?
He's literally like tracking macros like in his head.
Yeah.
Like I can like,
That's nuts.
like we went to this breakfast place and it was like, it had, you know, we got some toast and had like jam and butter and then like we got eggs and, you know, like a normal breakfast. And I'm actually actively watching him like he doesn't have any of the butter.
Yeah.
And like I put the butter and the jam on and I was
Yeah.
like, fuck it, I'm at this breakfast.
Yeah,
This
I'm
place
on
is bomb.
vacation, yeah.
And but I noticed that like he just like wasn't doing that. And like I started to like notice a whole bunch of little things. And I was like, you really track your macros like hardcore, right? He's like, oh yeah.
So it's
And then-
nature, not nurture then.
Yeah, and then he built a gym next to his house. He's got everything in there.
Get
and
the fuck out of here.
And he works
He
out.
built a gym too.
He works out at 5 a.m. every day. I mean, dude, it is insane how ridiculously similar we are and how ridiculously hard he works. And like,
Yeah.
I grew up in a family where I had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. We're all in the same house. We are all drastically different.
Isn't that crazy?
But I didn't know who my dad was for like my whole life. And we are the exact same person.
That's nuts.
Even though my surroundings at the time was completely different. Like my one brother actually just died a month ago.
I'm sorry
from
to hear that.
heroin, drug overdose. My other brother was a drug dealer most of his life. My other 2 sisters are hairstylists. Like how different we are is just completely wild.
That's crazy.
And you know, if you read any books about habits and stuff like that, like James Clear, Atomic Habits, one of my favorite books of all time, he talks about how your surroundings is essentially one of the most important things.
Yep.
But he says that 80 to 85% of people in the Vietnam War at least tried heroin at some point in time. And then about, I think like 50-ish% of them like did it like long term.
Yeah.
But then when they all came back home after the war, only about 5 to 10% actually continued to use it.
Fascinating.
It's the most powerful drug in the world.
Yeah.
Because you're a product of your environment.
Right.
So like me being a product of, I mean, I was in my environment, but I just somehow
How are you your own
became a
thing that
byproduct
way?
of my environment. What's that?
Like, how did you avoid all the, I guess, pitfalls of your environment?
Man, I just like watched my brothers kind of like do the wrong thing. And
Are
I
you the
just, like,
youngest or?
I was the youngest,
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
But now I have 2 little brothers now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, on my dad's side,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And he has 2 other daughters too, but he doesn't get to see them very much. But the kids just came here this weekend and I got to hang out with them and
Oh, that's
he
sweet.
jumped on the chalk trampoline.
Yeah. This guy has a trampoline in his house, Tim. It's unbelievable.
It cost me like $35,000 to put that baby.
Seems worth it. Though. Seems
Worth it.
Yeah.
Fucking worth it. So that's interesting. So you had this chaotic, I don't know if difficult's the right word. I feel like chaotic's probably more spot on, you know, experience growing up and you're being exposed to brothers making those decisions and stuff. And then I can't, you have a skill then that I don't, or that I didn't have for most of my life, is where you can watch and learn and observe from other people. I have to put my hand on the stove, or I have historically. Like I was your older brothers.
Yeah.
Yes. For most of my life. And the skill, it sounds like you have sort of innate to be able to observe and kind of hold yourself to a standard. And those were learned skills for me later in life. And I'm interested because Zach asked you, you know, what are your other non-negotiables? It's like that you being a product of that environment or being exposed to that environment. I'm like, of course, this is a guy who has non-negotiables because that's not chaotic at all. That's the opposite.
Yeah.
You know,
Dude, when I was a little kid, I used to beg my mom to go to military school.
really, you just wanted you needed consistency.
I thought that stuff was cool too.
I wanted to be a machine since I was a kid. I just that's all I ever cared about. When I was 12 years old, I got my first bike, and I remember by the time I was 13, I had a prepaid phone. It was like big giant Nextel, it was like a brick. And then and I remember riding my bike, what would be equivalent to like a 30 to 40 minute car ride away from our house as a 12 to 13-year-old kid going across main highways, all this stuff. And I got a flat tire one time. I called my mom and I was like, hey, Mom, I have a flat tire in this town called Lakewood. And she's like, holy fuck. That's
what are you doing there?
It's going to take me like 40 minutes to drive there.
Like, you better start now.
It's like, what are you doing over there? And I was like,
Joyride.
I'm like, I just never really wanted to be home. I kind of wanted to be out, kind of doing my own thing.
We have a lot of similarity in that regard. I just got my new watch from Amazfit. It's called the T-Rex 3. And this is the best watch I've ever had in my life.
This is $1,000 watch. Getting it $279, which is ridiculous.
Which
value.
is absurd. It just looks good, dude. Military grade stainless steel, AI voice control, water resistant up to 100 meters. It tracks your heart rate. It has maps.
Battery life, dude. Once every 27 days.
Yep.
That's incredible.
The selection that I have for my watch faces, my heart rate, how many steps I've taken.
The UV index.
UV index is important for your boy. I use my watch as a stopwatch all the time. As if all that wasn't good enough, you get a discount because you're listening and watching us. 15%, dude. Amazfit.com/coachemup, or you can click the link below. 15% off. The best watch on the planet. Now, back to the episode. I want to go back to you. Okay, you have this gym. A drop-in changes your life, tells you that she's willing to start the Facebook group for you. Now what happens next?
So at the time, my business partner for the gym, by the way, he created the operating system for MySpace. So he was a big dog. And I was personal training him and I had no idea who he was. I just thought he was a normal dude.
Yeah.
He dressed normal, had an old F-150 pickup truck, was a piece of shit. Not like old, like a cool one.
Yeah.
Right.
Like 10 years old, that was just a piece of shit.
Right.
And
it wasn't like a classic or something.
Yeah, it wasn't classic.
It's like my old Jeep.
Yes.
So I just was like, he confronted me one time. He's like, hey, like, I think we should open this gym together. I think you'd be great and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I really don't even want to do it, to be fair.
Yeah.
And then he just was like, dude, we got to do it. Like, there's like all these gyms in town. They all suck, blah, blah, blah. There was like 16 CrossFit gyms in town. And I was like, oh, yeah, let's just add another one. That makes sense.
Right.
In Newport Beach, California, where there's not that many people. Yeah. And then we eventually found a space that was amazing. So that was like kind of step one. And then once everything was kind of cruising there, I started getting a paycheck, which was $4,000 a month.
Wow.
Which was nothing crazy, obviously. And then the first week that I launched the Chalk online program, I made $4,000 on the money.
Dang.
So it was like this crazy realization to me where I was like, I'm going to make $4,000 again next month, maybe more. And I don't have to do any of this hard shit I'm doing in the gym.
Yep.
Like the gym stuff is really hard. And then I just was like, there's maybe something to this, but to be
what
fair,
year was this? That first year?
Maybe like 2 years after I opened the gym. So I opened the gym in 14, so maybe like 16.
Okay.
And then maybe 16 or 17. So I actually didn't tell anyone about it. I literally just like let it keep rolling. I didn't even talk about it on social media that much. It was like one post a month. I kind of had like imposter syndrome a little bit.
Sure.
How did it take off so quick? Like 4,000 is nothing to scoff at.
Well, at the time, Chalk was so fucking cool on social media.
Yeah.
Because I had like all the comp plates. I put this like custom.
That's true. The gym was next level.
It was really, really cool. And I posted about it a lot. It was like, hey guys, I'm gonna have 30 grand worth of Olympic lifting plates. I got this crazy pull-up bar and putting it in the back of my truck. And I'm driving it to the gym right now. And like, you know, I made it like beautiful, like so nice. Because I had all the money in the world for my business partner to invest in it. So I was like, why not make it insane? So as I started to do that, people would see like videos on Instagram of like how pretty it was, and they'd always be like, "What's the workout? What's the workout? What's the workout?" And we started getting phone calls from people out of state asking us what the workout was. It's crazy to me now thinking about it. I'm like, how did I not think about doing an online program sooner? But it was just like there was something about me at the time where, you know, I'd gotten in trouble a lot in CrossFit, and, you know, I was one hell of an athlete, but just kind of had a bad rap multiple times. And because of that, I just was like, fuck, like, I know that I'm really good, but I never had a chance to like go to the CrossFit Games and win.
Yeah.
You know, so because of that, I don't feel like I'm the person who should be doing this, because no one at the time in CrossFit was actually selling anything.
Oh, I see what you mean.
If I'm not the best,
I was the first
Yeah.
person to be like, hey, buy this.
Yeah.
And I remember going to competitions and other people seeing me and they're like, oh, he's the guy that's like selling all the
that guy.
stuff.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah.
because the CrossFit workouts were
Who's
free.
laughing now?
But dude, it got really crazy. So like I got $4,000 that month, and then I don't know, like a year or two went by. I started making like 40 grand a month, 50 grand a month.
Good God.
I still wasn't saying anything to anyone. And then I called my mom one day and I was like, hey mom, I was like, I have like $2 million. And then I was like, just want to let you know, like I'm doing pretty
Everything's
good.
cool, mom.
And then she's like,
She's like drugs.
she's like, are you still like in your little 1-bedroom apartment with your old pickup truck and stuff, right? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, why don't you go buy a house? And I was like, I don't want a house. And she's like, yeah, but the house would be worth more money, so you should go buy it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I don't know. I'm like, everyone keeps saying the market's going to do this or that or blah, blah, blah. And I started looking around and I was like, man, I actually could get a pretty nice house with this kind of money. And then I wound up buying this house. I'll never forget when I bought that house, that was when everyone around me was like, oh, he's like doing really, really well.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a good thing.
Yeah.
It was like,
Interesting.
everybody wants you to do well until you do better than them, and then it's not cool anymore.
Wow.
Like I was like the broke kid in the gym who was just working all day, every day.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden I have, you know, a house on the beach, which is like, that, I mean, I was the only I'm in my neighborhood right now. I'm still the only person by like 10 years that lives in the neighborhood that I live in. Like my neighbor next to me sold his business for $4 billion.
Jesus.
And then here I pull up in my pickup truck, an Iron Maiden t-shirt and ripped jeans, and I'm just
Let's
like,
fucking go.
And my neighbor's like, who the fuck are you? Like,
Are you lost?
Must be a trust fund kid.
genuinely, he like did that to me.
Yeah.
He's like, literally, like,
What's your dad do?
Within our
Right.
first sentence, he was like, what do you do for a living? That was like like attack mode. And I was like, let me fucking tell you.
Yeah.
Probably didn't help that you're like, I own a gym. And he's like, oh.
Well, I told him my whole life story in that moment, because I was like, I was like really taken back, because I could tell. I was like, I had never had anyone, you know, talk to me like I was a trust fund kid before, and I was like, I need to get this guy.
Yeah, hold on.
Right
Time
now.
out, buddy. Yeah.
So obviously I moved into this beautiful home, so I was like, let me go get a nice car. So I went and bought a G-Wagon.
Yes, classic.
$200,000 car. And I was like, why not? Let's just spend all the money.
Yep.
That was when I just took on a totally different persona, and I was like, this is the successful person. And I remember like that, it was really hard to like kind of even bring myself into that kind of position in life. And it's interesting to see how things change around you when you do that, for sure.
Did you regret after you bought like the house and the G-Wagon, like how soon after were you like, no, I'm glad I did that? Or were you kind of taken back of like, maybe I shouldn't be a
Probably shouldn't have bought the car.
Yeah.
The house, for sure, I'm really, really happy. That was a really great investment. The car, to be fair, I drove it for 3 years and sold it for like the same price I bought it for.
All right. Well,
So like that,
that's about as best case scenario as it gets for a vehicle, actually. you know?
investment wise, it was totally fine. It's very strange what happens when you have a car like that. I don't know I wonder if a Lamborghini would have been different, to be fair. I just think people look at that and like, oh, fuck, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the G-Wagon's kind of like,
It's impractical. It's really,
I don't know. It's kind of like you watch someone get out of the G-Wagon and you're just like staring at him. You're like, you know, like,
fuck that guy.
it's literally fuck that guy.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is I bought the G-Wagon for like it was like 180 grand.
Yeah.
I sell the car 3 years later, and I buy a $300,000 old 1967 Bronco.
The Bronco he has is the car
It's
of my
double the
dreams.
price of the G-Wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nobody knows.
Right.
Yeah.
And the people,
The ones who matter know, though.
dude, I mean, there's literally people running across traffic to try to like give me a hug after I get out of that fucking car.
Wow.
And it's like, it's just a completely different,
Yeah.
everything about it is completely different. I'm like, what? I wish I would have bought this sooner.
Right. Yeah. There's life before the Bronco and life after the Bronco, is what
So-
it sounds like.
It's very interesting, like people's perceived,
Yeah.
you know, thoughts
What they
about
associate.
just a fucking car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about training. Like you're obviously a freaking unit.
Yeah.
What got you into training, and then how's training basically changed from when you were younger to now that you're, old like us?
So when I was younger, I would call CrossFit my CrossFit years, my younger years, I guess, because that was when I was just hammering away. It's very interesting, like once you start to train clients and you care, like there's a difference between training clients and fucking caring about your clients.
Yeah, totally.
Do you know what I mean? Like at first you train clients because you love to train and you think other people might like the programs that you do. And because they worked for you, you think that they might work for them. At the end of the day, you were a newbie and you did all this dumb shit and it worked for you because you were a newbie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you're just passing off this like newbie
knowledge.
Yeah.
this newbie fucking, I don't even know what.
Yeah, it's basically an experience. It doesn't even constitute as wisdom. You know what I mean?
It's just, they're like hieroglyphics on the side of a fucking cave. And you're like, this is going to work for everybody. And then, I mean, it does work for a lot of people because they come off the couch and they do your shit and it's like, it works, right?
Yeah.
But then you start to realize after a certain point that you actually need to become smart in the thing. So once I started to become smart in the thing was when I was like, oh, okay. I understand that being smart is something that nobody likes. It's not sexy. It's the same lifts over and over again.
Yep.
Even talking about it makes people not even want to fucking follow your page because it's just so boring. So I was like, okay, well, what can I do with what people like with what people need? So that was when I started to kind of veer off of a bunch of random stuff into a lot of structurized stuff, but also with a random component. So one of the things everybody likes about CrossFit is I think is because you kind of get that full body pump kind of every day with the intensity kind of factor. So my full body aesthetics program, which is my most popular one, is a full body bodybuilding split where we do one exercise per body part per training session. We spread out the training volume from, like a bro split or a push-pull split or whatever to like, for example, like let's just say we all need 15 sets to grow our legs per week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? I'll just do 3 sets for one exercise for legs 5 days that week.
Yep.
Still 15 sets, doesn't matter. There's different ways you can spread out the volume. I believe that volume distribution works just fine. Also intensity is really, really big as well. So with that, I was like, all right, let's just track like 1 or 2 movements each session. And then the rest of the movements for the day, we'll just do whatever.
Yeah.
Like it'll be a different tricep movement, a different bicep movement, a different chest movement every single day.
And you're relying on intensity at that point.
I'm relying on intensity there, and then I'm relying on progressive overload for the other 2 parts.
See, I fucking love that because now you give 2 people, because how much can most people actually focus on or bring their A game to the table in a progressive manner like that? Most people,
And
right?
it's hard to skip leg day if it's every day.
Yes. That's brilliant.
Well,
You're going to get better results usually.
so I have this scar right here. It's my bicep tendon. I broke it. I was doing muscle ups for one of the open workouts. And then when I broke that and I was coming back from my injury, I was like, fuck, I can't do CrossFit at all. Like, my arm is totally fucked. There's so many things I can't do. And I was like, I'll just bodybuild, get my body back. And I was like, well, can't do an arm day. Can't do like a full chest day. Can't do like a full shoulder day. And I was like, what the fuck can I do?
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait a second. I've never actually even taken the time to understand what the fuck bodybuilding even is. I was like, why do we do X amount of sets per? I'm like, why? Like, where are these coming from?
Right.
So that was when I started like reading everything I could. And I was like, I could just work out full body every day. And I was like, even Ronnie Coleman used to do this back in the day. All these people used to do these splits back in the day. I was like, I'm just going to do that because now if I want to do like a full training session, there's never going to be a session that like I'm completely limited in.
Right.
So it was very easy to work around my injury. So I would
shout out injury for, honestly,
The
like
gift
not
of
even
injury.
not even joking. Like, and people say that gift of injury, like when Zack tore his Achilles, it's like, oh, there's a silver lining in this. And when you're injured, you're like, fuck that.
Yeah. Screw your silver lining.
But honestly, it's so true because there's nothing, if training means to you what I think it means to you, and what I know it means for me, is you're placed in a position where not training isn't an option. You're going to train. And so now you have to figure it the fuck out.
Yep.
And you have to get creative and you have to get moved out of your comfort zone. And that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I mean, every injury I've ever had has always turned into something amazing.
Yeah.
If you allow it to be that.
You have to work for that though, too, right?
Yeah.
That's a mindset thing as well.
Dude, I love hard shit though, man. Like,
Yeah.
I'll go get hit by a car right now. And I'll be like, something fucking dope's gonna happen from this. I'll be on the ground. Like, I'll still send you the fist bump.
I will be better from this.
Yeah. People are still gonna be getting fist bumps at laser beams.
How to train in a coma. Ryan Fischer.
Ryan Fischer, yes.
So yeah, man, I think at the end of the day, like, I do want to do smart shit when it comes to training. I think it's really, really important. However, I am not blind to the fact that the dumbest training on the planet is what makes the most amount of money. And like, I dug deep into a lot of this stuff when it comes to like building my app. Like, one of the people that goes to my gym in Orange County, California, he owns an app called Fight Camp. They do like 20, 30 million a year.
Fuck.
And I was like, dude, how many programs do you have on your app? And like, you know, what's the percentage of people who follow this program versus this program? Like, what are people signing up for? What's your lifetime value of your customer versus like, you know, when they come in? And like, I was asking all these questions, right? Because he's, you know, one of the owners of it, and I can ask him, and he can tell me. And it's a boxing app, you know, whereas like we don't even compete with each other. And he starts telling me all these numbers and stuff. And then I got to talk to people who own the Sweat app. You know, Sweat app, K-Listings. I mean, they sold for 300 million,
not bad.
400 million or whatever. Nothing there is structured.
Yeah.
Center Fit with Chris Hemsworth, nothing's really structured. Like, you start just rip down like all the most successful apps that make the most amount of money. If 100% structure worked all of the time, that's what they would do. That's why they're worth 9 figures, right? So it's like, all right, well, how can I actually give people real results? Because people who follow these programs, they don't actually fucking change, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's the nutrition. It's the nutrition usually.
Yep.
And then they're all still doing body weight and shit at home, which we all know, like, you can only do that for so long. Yeah. Unless you're going to turn into like the parallettes and you start getting like really, really advanced.
Yeah. Like, you take enough tren, anything's possible. You know? That's
another thing. These days, everybody is so embarrassing. But like, I mean, fucking hell. It's amazing to me. I think we're going to be in the first era of like, just everyone's going to die at like 50.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm just like, because you guys all wanted to look cool for like 4 years on Instagram. It doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, whatever.
Just like leaning into the casket is like, God. His bicep veins still
Jack though.
Yeah, I just fucking hell. Anyway, yeah, it's crazy. When you really start to dive into the game and kind of see what people genuinely enjoy and what they will actually follow, and you want to have really excited customers too, you know, like you want them to shout your name from the rooftops. And this has been one of the hardest times of my life because I love making people who are fit fitter.
Yes.
And I love people who have the mindset that I have to make them even more of a badass.
Yep.
But those people don't want to pay you.
Yeah.
They want to do their own shit because they already know what to do.
Because they're motivated.
And even if they did do your shit and they got some great results, they're not going to shout from the rooftops.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, you know.
Did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, did what I was supposed to do. Of course I fucking got 10 more pounds on my clean, whatever.
Right.
But you get somebody lose 50 pounds, that person is telling everyone.
And it's literally visible. People are asking them even, how the fuck did you do that?
And there's, you know, you can do some profound shit in like 12 weeks with somebody when it comes to weight loss, but not so much when it comes to strength gain. So like when I figured that out, that was when I was like, this hurts my heart a little bit, but I feel like I feel like I need to be a little bit more geared towards this direction if I want to have massive impact.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, not just, would I make more money? Yes, 100% I will make more money. But like at the end of the day, like I've made a bunch of money. Like I do want to like love what I do. Like it's really important to, like, one of my non-negotiables is I better love what the fuck I do every single day. Otherwise, like, forget it. I'm moving to Bali and I'm done.
Yeah.
So
we'll get into that.
We're going to get to Bali. Yeah.
So for me, it's like, it's been really, really hard for me to understand that the customer that I want is not who I actually thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if you actually ask your customers who they are, they'll surprise you. Because I remember asking them, I was like, in my Facebook group, I would survey everybody on the app and I'd be like, hey, what's your goal? Like, do you want to lose 20 pounds or more? Are you just looking to get like a little bit leaner? Do you want to get stronger? Do you want to increase your performance? And it's like, everybody just wants to get lean.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to lose like 10, 15, almost 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And I was like, these motherfuckers, they think that they're a performance customer. They're not.
Yeah.
They're a weight loss customer.
Yeah.
And then you have 73% of the population's
They're a
overweight.
weight loss customer cosplaying as a performance customer.
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
Well, so well, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I'll say there's two things and then we can rip on it. The first one is over 70% of the population's overweight, right? The next one that blew my fucking mind was the fact that 80 to 85%, actually, no, sorry, it's 80 to 95% of people who don't make an actual identity shift during their transformational process will go back to square one at some point in time.
If you don't identify as a high-performing person that makes good food choices, training choices, lifestyle choices.
Or just the person who's fit in general.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I love like identity-based outcomes versus like results-based outcomes.
One of your videos I really like that you're talking about like grocery shopping and you're like, put yourself in a high-performance person's shoes what decisions would they make in the grocery store? And I think we all know that kind of stuff, but I think for you to put it to the forefront of, no, actually do it when you're trying to decide between, do I need to get the Little Debbie snack or should I hang out in the produce section more often? I think a lot of your nutrition stuff is kind of black and white like that, and I like it. I always talk with my athletes. Everyone is always like, well, what about their diet? And I'm like, if I gave them $100 to make a really good plate at lunch, I bet they could do it. But why are they not making those decisions? And I think that's where you kind of intervene and get people going. Once people figure that out, like the muscle mass is easier, they feel better, the weight loss obviously happens. Like, how do you get through to different people that way?
I typically start with like a little bit deeper values. And I tell everyone like, hey, you're never going to be proud of your presence until you're never going to be fully present until you're proud of your presence. Ooh. So let's work on the fact that
That was a banger.
Yeah, you're not like fully there yet. You're not really bringing the best version of yourself everywhere. You can't fill up anybody else's cup when your cup is half empty.
Yeah.
So like, let's go ahead and work on you first. And I want you to constantly remind yourself what your goals are, because that is going to be the thing that's going to be ultimately what pushes you when you don't feel like doing the thing.
That's your anchor.
And like, I'll bring my phone right now. Like this is, I write notes to myself and I make in the background of my phone. It says, don't forget what you did to get here.
Ooh.
That's the background. So like when I coach people, I tell everyone, I'm like, what's the thing that's going to get you to the next level? Write it on a note. This is literally a notepad and I just screenshot it and I make it. And I'll change these all the time. Sometimes it'll just be my to-do list for the week or for the month, and it's like, better get this fucking done. But like, what are you going to look at more than your phone all day?
Yeah,
right.
Nothing.
But like, dude, I went through some hard shit, and whenever I remind myself of that, like whenever I'm going through something, I'm just like, dude, you're being a bitch. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So for me, I try to get them to remind themselves what their goals are, and I think if you can do that, then they'll think about that in that scenario where they're having a weak moment. But when it comes to nutrition, I'm usually just like, guys, we can weigh stuff, we can measure stuff, we can do whatever you want to do. If you want to eat fucking cupcakes every single day, we can do it. But if you don't want to be the person who's meticulously measuring and doing all these different things, like if you want to make it just absolutely stupid easy, then just like eat meat, fruit, and vegetables. Like,
Yeah. It's not rocket science.
and that's really it. And if you can do that, you're gonna have to eat a fucking shit ton of that.
I dare you to eat that. Yep.
Yeah,
and fuck that up.
That's
fuck
the
it
thing.
up.
It's like when people are like, I'm sure you ask them how their diet is, like, oh, it's pretty good, but they keep gaining weight. And it's like, I guarantee you're not eating enough chicken, sweet potatoes, berries, whatever that you're putting on unwanted.
Yeah,
fat.
or it's 3 glasses of wine every night.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, usually you're a product of your environment, right? We'll go back to that. And it's like, essentially, a lot of times people they're drinking in these like social circles. They don't even like want to drink. The amount of people that message me and are like, dude, I stopped drinking after like following you and all this stuff. And like, it like changed their life and all this. And I'm just like, the last time you drank, if you looked around the table, like who did you want to be like that was there?
Yeah.
Fucking
I'll never forget.
Nobody.
I've been sober 6.5 years now.
Let's go.
And thank you. And I remember at the beginning of the end, and I had this moment of clarity of several where I was out and I'd been partying and I might have been up for a couple days. And
that sounds like meth.
Yeah. Well, we weren't quite there, but it was an illegal substance. But it was cocaine. I'm sitting around, I'm looking at these people, and I had that moment where I realized, I was like, I don't actually like any of these people. I don't think any of us actually like one another. There's always moving parts. One person's coming, one person's going. It's just kind of this amoeba cluster. And like I had this realization where I was like, none of this matters. None of this means anything. None of this matters. And that was like one of the sort of the chinks in the bullshit armor that I had regarding the way that I thought. Because I thought I was just partying, having a good time. Just having a good time, man. Just having fun. I'm in my 20s, I'm having fun. But I wasn't. And I hadn't been for a long time. And it was an accumulation of little moments like that took me getting to the place where I knew that if I didn't change everything, or at least leave that part of my life behind, I wasn't ever going to escape it. So it's interesting to hear that you get messages from people who are having those similar experiences, which, by the way, how fucking empowering is that for you? I mean, it's got to be a special.
It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Did you, getting into this, at the start, you're at your gym, you're starting this online space. I'm interested. Did you foresee conversations or interactions like that happening, and like what was that like when that first started, matriculating?
I mean, for me, man, I just always felt like I had like a family element in my life that was like missing, especially like not knowing who my dad was for like most of my life. And then actually starting all of that now, like started at 36 and now I'm 38 and he just came and visited me now for like first time ever.
That is so wild.
So it's crazy. It's like, I feel like I put every bit of my being like into my community of people. And I feel like when I talk on Instagram and I do that stuff, like I'm not just like trying to get content out. Like I don't have a strategy on social media at all. People always like, oh, how many times are you going to post? Or like, what are you going to talk about? Or like, do you do this? And I'm just like, man, I just tell people fucking everything.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Like
that's the difference between making content and actually caring.
Yeah. There is a big difference. And I mean, you can do the things, you can do everything right all the time, but you can get burned out on that shit too. Like, it's really hard to not be yourself, man. Mm-hmm. Like I've had so many times where like I've just been like, I'm just going to be like exactly like this, and this is going to be like
follow the plan.
This is the play.
Yeah. And I burn out after like a month.
Yep.
I'm just like, I fucking hate this. I'm like, buy my shit or don't. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Oh, that's the best. Yes. Zach, guess what?
Dude, tell me.
We have partnered with Atlantis Strength. Atlantis Strength is by far the best machine equipment I have ever used. From high school, collegiate, and pro athletes, machines are underutilized. What Atlantis has done in terms of the build quality and reliability of these machines has made it effortless for me to be able to transition athletes where their output and intents can be as high as possible. You can learn more about Atlantis Strength on their website and their Instagram page. Type in Atlantis Strength. I'm such a huge fan and we're incredibly grateful.
The Coachemup podcast is sponsored by Squat Wedgies. Tim, what are Squat Wedgies?
Squat Wedgies are an adjustable squat wedge, 7, 13, and 20 degrees.
It's big enough to elevate your whole foot and not just your heel.
Because it's rubber, it doesn't slide on surfaces.
It's 22 pounds, so it's durable and stable enough for even your biggest athletes.
There's a 90-day risk-free trial. The shipping is free, and
get 15% off Squat Wedgies with our discount code coachemup15.
Coachemup 15 for 15% off of the best squat wedge on the planet. Zach, you know what my favorite clothing brand is?
Tell me.
It's Legends. I've been wearing it for a long time. From training to lifestyle, Legends has got you covered.
So what kind of gear does Legends have?
You can get shirts, shorts, underwear, socks, tops and bottoms, hoodies, hats, sweats. They've got it all. And they just dropped an entire women's line.
Holy smokes.
I know.
Tim, the great thing about these tees, I found I'm 20% stronger rocking them when I train.
Speaking of 20%, that's how much you save when you go to legends.com and enter in promo code CoachEmUp or click the link below.
When did you come to that realization of not being like a people pleaser with things? Because I think it's so easy to like give everyone what they want versus, setting a boundary and then putting out there what you want to put out.
I think I was like 37.
Yeah.
And then now I got a year of this now. You never remember when you were like 15 and there's like a 40-year-old man and you just like didn't give a fuck and you're just like, dude, how did you get to that point?
Who hurt you?
And then all of a sudden, like you hit a specific birthday where you're just like, you wake up, it's like, you just like wake up on that day and you're like, I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck anymore. No one's safe.
and you're just like, your answers to everything change. Like everything just changes. You're like, this is the way that you should fucking train. Take it or not.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like I'm getting to that point now. I just turned 35.
Yeah.
And I've noticed before I wanted to like please everybody and, fit whatever narrative they wanted me to be. And now it's more of like, this is what I like. This is what I don't like. If I don't want to go to this event, I'm not going to go to it.
Yeah.
And before I'd be like, okay, I have to go to this thing, even though I don't really like that person. And the same with training.
Dude, I get off on telling people no.
Yeah, if you want the program, buy it. If you don't,
like
cool.
Sexually off. They're like, hey, bro, I need you to help me. Like, can you help me move this weekend? I'm like, absolutely not. What are you doing? Nothing.
He's like, no. And Ryan internally is just like, ooh, yes. In your fucking face, dude. No.
You know what really fucked me up was about probably like 8 months ago. I was doing a one-on-one coaching call. Everybody in my one-on-one coaching community, I do a call with them in a group every Tuesday.
How big is that community?
We have like 100 people in there right now. They all pay like $3,000 to $5,000 range to have a coach. Everything's custom built. Like we do a really good job in there. Everybody in there does, pretty much everybody hits their goal
Yeah.
Like it's pretty amazing.
Well, it's interesting. How, the more people are committed, the higher the dollar amount associated with that too. It's too and correct me if I'm wrong because you have more experience with this than me. It sounds like you get people who are it's more of a priority to them than everybody else because they're putting their money where their mouth is and they're showing up to doing the thing. And then on the back end of that as well is you have a lot more accountability and motivation. You just spent $3,000 to be a part of Ryan Fischer's community. Motherfucker, I'm doing the workout.
If I spent $3,000 and get my goal, and it was all depending on my choices, I'd be so pissed at myself.
Yes.
But even if you don't even use any of the things that we can help you with, you literally just pay the money. And now it's just like, fuck, I spent a lot of money. I gotta do this.
Might as well do it.
But I usually was really nice to these people on the calls. Like every Tuesday, I would like break down like training principles, nutrition principles, and I'd see everyone just kind of like, deer in the headlights kind of stuff. And then like I'd go over the same things over and over again.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, this one person one day was just like complaining about some shit. Yeah. Just like, I haven't hit my goal yet, and like I don't know, like blah blah blah. And I was like, you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like like 100%, like
just stop it.
Just like fucking stop it. You know what I mean? And I was like
20 beers Saturday.
Yeah.
I had a large pizza.
I was like, when are you going to fucking wake up and actually be a grown ass adult?
Yeah.
I was like, when are you actually going to take responsibility for your actions and actually become the person that you were meant to fucking be? And I just like started like going down this whole list of just being like, you need to wake up tomorrow and create this identity. You need to make these non-negotiables. I was like, and this is when I started to realize that I put these notes on my phone and I realized that was weird. Like I'm like one of one on that. So then I was like, this is what I do. And then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And I was like, and then I want you to think about it like this. And then I remember like nobody talked for like 40 minutes and I just like ripped. And I literally ate people on that conversation. Like it was not okay. Some of the things I said, I said really mean things to some people in there. All in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And then literally when it was done, this one lady on the call, it's like 50. She was like, can we do more calls like that? And I was like, that's what you want?
Interesting.
You don't want me to give you any of the valuable stuff. You want me to just give you like
hard truth.
You're a piece of shit, get your life together stuff.
Yeah.
And they were like, yes. And I was like, okay. So ever since then,
fascinating.
Dude, every Tuesday, I like my whole day, I'm like fucking studying the whole day. I have like this sick topic. I go over the whole thing and then I get in there and I just like rip on something for like the whole time. And the results in the program have like 10x'd.
Wow.
It's not even about the training and the nutrition nearly as much anymore as it is about like the mindset and like the things that people need to connect their goal with.
Because it bleeds into everything.
It's identity-based outcomes versus result-based identity-based outcomes versus results-based outcomes. If you were a sport, if you were a team of basketball players, you're a basketball coach, right?
Basketball.
Could you still win the game without looking at the scoreboard all day and just doing what you're supposed to do?
You should.
AKA your systems are really fucking solid and you can always get there.
Yeah.
But if you're always just thinking about the score the whole time, it's impossible to win the game.
Yeah.
So you never, the systems that you put into place are the most important thing.
Yeah.
So everyone's just always thinking about the results. They're just like, why am I not 10 pounds lighter?
Yep.
Why am I not 10 pounds more jacked? Why am I not this? Why am I not that? And it's like, why are you not focusing on the things that matter along the way?
It's so funny because like in the performance world, it's about, this gets echoed a lot to players, to coaches about being process oriented and how important that is. And if you take care of your process, then you'll get the outcomes. And just having a quite frankly, faith, because that's the only word that really applies, that encapsulates it perfectly, is having faith in your processes. But you also have to have the discipline and willingness and ability to actually adhere to those processes.
Yeah, like we hear it all the time, like trust the process. But I think identity is a better word. Like this is a mind thing for me. Like how you associate who you are. I think you can make process something else. Like it is your process, but I feel like it can be 2 steps away from you, but your identity is you. And so I think it, like to your point, if you label it as identity, me as a person, how I act versus the result, like it kind of hits you right between the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I think a lot of people, they look for like the motivation thing a lot. And we all know that motivation is kind of like whack and like blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it's like, You get a little bit of progress and you have infinite motivation.
Yeah.
Just a tiny bit of progress. You lost 1 pound. There's a whole bunch of motivation behind that.
Yes.
And then you can go on forever. But I like to tell people is like, you got to think about how far you're coming from the original standpoint. Is like, if 70% of the population is overweight, that means that they're probably not even going to the gym, right? I think they say about 20% of the population even has a gym membership, and about 90% of them don't even show up to it.
Yeah.
So we have about 70% of the population is overweight. Only 20% even has a gym membership. 90% don't even show up. The fact that you're in the gym doing anything, you're already you're already like in the top 10% of the world. There's your motivation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Keep doing that and let it compound. Let your habits compound just over and over and over and over again. We all know the analogy of like 1% better every day is 37 times better at the end of the year. And it's like, I think people really misunderstand that like, you don't need to have the results right away. And if you can fall in love with the process along the way, I mean, that's the thing that matters the most. But it's just hard for people to understand that because they don't have the motivation to actually
do it.
Push the needle.
First step.
But it's like, fuck, dude, just get a little bit of results and then you will have all the motivation you need.
So, and again, I picked this up from sobriety. There's a saying, don't leave before the miracle happens. And, I've noticed that in fitness and performance circles too, where people will say, okay, I want this quality or I want this result. And they make a great beginning and it's full steam ahead. And maybe and almost always it's like, it takes time. It usually takes longer than you think, or at least longer than you want initially. And then people, they either start becoming inconsistent or they give up altogether before they're able to get any of the real benefit from the work that they've put in. And this concept of like, don't leave before the miracle happens. If you just get that first win, which is what I think you're talking about, that first big W, oh shit, I have lost 3 pounds. Oh my God, my squat did go up. I actually did run better today. All those little things, at least for me, that hit that I get from that little bit of progress, that's all the motivation I fucking need, baby. I'm on board, let's go. But I think a lot of people, they quit before they ever get the opportunity to experience that.
Well, there's also that moment of just like, it feels like you're an overnight success. Like if we all put like a bunch of ice cubes on this counter and the room's 25 degrees and then it's 26 degrees and then 27 degrees, nothing really changes. 28, 29, still nothing changes. A lot's going on around us, but nothing's really physically changing. And then once the 32 degrees hits, all of a sudden the ice cube melts.
Yeah.
So now because of that, it's like all that work you put in for the last 7 or 8 years, 7 or 8 degrees, all of a sudden now has just made a massively compounding effect. Same thing with like bamboo. Like bamboo is like growing underground for like years. And all of a sudden, as soon as it breaks ground, it goes like 90 feet in the air in 6 months. It's like the same thing over and over.
It's the tipping point.
Yeah.
I'm interested. You've used the word community a few times and even like kind of hearkening back to like how much effort and how much you care and how much you've poured into building community and even like, it being almost like a family. I'm someone, and I think I've talked about this previously, where like I would hear the word community and I like roll my eyes and I'm like, that's fucking lame. There's nothing that
don't have friends, man.
That sounds so fucking whack, and I think I used the term eat crow the other day and no one knew what I meant. I'm from the South. So all that means is that I had to like swallow my words on that because the more I've done this podcast and the more people I've spoken to who have a ton of success, who are happy and fulfilled with what they're doing, they've built up a community around them, the community that they seek. And I would just love if you talked a little bit more about like what the community building process has looked like for you and like what it means for you today and where you see it heading.
I mean, the community thing is so big, especially as we get older, because we don't really have anyone to connect with.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like when you were younger and you went to college and stuff like that, you always had people to connect with. Like you always had some sort of routine that felt really good. I don't know what it's like to have kids and to be married and all that because I don't have any of those things. But even those people, I have a lot of those people in my program. I mean, they look so forward to like coming on a call, having a meetup, like being inside the Facebook group and just posting a picture of themselves in the garage and they see someone else post a picture in the garage. Like people just like want to be related. Like people want to relate to something.
Shout out relatability.
I always tell coaches, like, if you want to be a good coach, like, be real, relatable, and raw.
Yeah.
Like, be raw and just, like, give them whatever. Be real and just, like, don't be the fake version of yourself that's not really going to be able to withstand time. And then just be relatable, and just, you know, if you're working out at 10 p.m., fucking post about it. Like, there's other people doing the same shit, and maybe it's 9:59 and they're thinking about not working out. So at the end of the day, the community to me is like really the whole reason to do the whole thing. Because if I had a bunch of money and I just had an app and I didn't talk to anyone on the app, I think I would wake up and be very unmotivated.
Yeah.
I would have no reason to work. Like, I'd have nothing to even spend the money on. I would it'd just be like such a wasted life.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part about our training apps is the people that chat in the group chat. Because usually you think like, maybe I'm the only one that hyper cares about training and this kind of lifestyle and everything. And then sure enough, you'll open up your phone and have 2 or 3 messages about, yo, that workout was sick. Blah, blah. And you're like, you know what? This is cool.
Yeah, super cool. It's just not really worth it without it, I feel like, in my opinion.
Tim, do you take supplements?
As a matter of fact, I do.
What brand do you take?
Legion. Legion has everything you want in supplements and nothing that you don't. So no artificial dyes, sweeteners. It's 100% real, from a whey isolate all the way to their non-stem pre-workout, which I absolutely love. Get the peach flavor. You'll thank me later. There's absolutely no filler. The only things that you're getting are the clinically effective dosages. Use code coachemup for 20% off your first order. You're going to get loyalty points, which is going to reduce the price every time you buy. Go hit up Legion today, code coachemup. Coachemup is proud to be sponsored by Plyomat. Plyomat is a jump mat that measures ground contact times, vertical jump height, and reactive strength index.
Plyomat's trusted by over 750 coaches in 25 different countries.
It's something that you can use in training day in and day out to give immediate feedback and drive output and intent.
Plyomat's always in stock. When you order your Plyomat, you can get it within 1 to 3 business days and start your training immediately.
If you get a group of athletes challenging each other to jump higher, get off the ground quicker, it transforms that workout into a highly competitive, highly potent stimulus.
If you would like access to the best jump mat on the planet, use coachemup5 to get 5% off at checkout.
Again, code coachemup5 for 5% off. Come jump with us, get a Plyomat. Let someone who's like listening to this and they're like, man, I see the value in that. I want to start. I want to build a community. I want
You want me to talk to coaches right now?
Yes.
Okay.
So like, let's say there's an aspire, because we have a lot of that, people who listen to the show who are trainers or strength coaches or performance coaches, and they're fucking beating the ground. They're training 7 people a day, or they're showing up to their university getting under fucking paid, and they want to find a way to scale and expand and have a greater reach and a bigger impact. And community building is clearly an integral part of doing that sustainably. So if someone's on the precipice and they're saying like, what the fuck is my next step? Like, what would you tell them to do? Like what's step 1? And then how do they continue to cultivate that?
Okay. So step 1 is you're either famous or you're not, right? So if you are famous, then you can have something that's cheap, like under $100 a month or whatever. If you are famous, I'm going to classify famous as nowadays as probably 200,000 followers or more.
Yep.
And like engaged followers, not like...
Right. You didn't buy the... Yeah.
I don't care about the buying thing. Like, look, even if you're a girl who's insanely hot and like there's just 90% of your audience is guys and they're, you know...
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
right.
They're jerking off your photos. Then that doesn't count either, right? Like, I'm talking about like real engaged users who care about what you're doing every single day. Probably like 200,000 or more. Then you can probably have a low ticket product, which is like... I said $100, but like I would say even like $50 or less. Like mine's $30 a month. So I would say you could do that. If you have like under 10,000 followers, I would go directly into one-on-one coaching and charge a lot, because your time is going to be the only thing that you're going to be able to really structure out in such a way where you can actually build whatever you start building. Like, you don't want to like build a low ticket app for like $30 a month and you get 100 members, right? And you get like $3,000, but you're putting all this time into that, and
right.
You might just be incrementally putting in like an extra $100 this month, or like, you know, maybe it takes you a year to get from $3,000 a month to $10,000 a month, or longer. And you're just really like dying, chipping away at this program. Whereas you could just charge someone $3,000 for a program right out the gate, and then the next month you might get 3 people, and now you're up from $3,000 to $9,000.
Yeah.
I hear this a lot with coaches who are just starting out with like your 10,000 or less. They don't feel like they're someone who can charge that kind of money because they're not quote unquote famous. What would you say to them?
So they have imposter syndrome on how much they can charge?
Yeah.
Totally understand that. But at the same time, like, there's a reason those people follow you. There's something about you that they relate to, and they don't necessarily care about who you are. They care about like what you are and what they are and like how they can relate to that. And then there's something about what you do that they believe is going to work for them. And I almost feel like the more like niche you are, like if you have less than 10,000 followers and there's something very special about you and you can implement the USP or the USM, the unique selling proposition or mechanism, you have something that's unique, they're going to be like, oh, this is the only person who can give me this.
Yeah.
So of course it's worth the money.
Yeah.
But you can always do like a results-based guarantee, or you could do something else around it to get people to feel like less cautious about being part of it, anything like that. But yeah, I would say you're either famous or you're not. That gives you the ability to charge whatever prices you want. And then from there, I would start to kind of build either a USP or USM, which is your proposition or your mechanism, which is like just create something that no one else has, even if it's the same thing, but you repackage it with a different name. CrossFit is a unique selling proposition.
Right.
Yeah.
It's high intensity interval training, right? Like, and then they just changed it.
It's rebranded.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of like a unique selling mechanism. Would it be like Sweat, for example, the app? Like they have a beautiful app. Like they were the first person to have a gorgeous app that was like spent millions and millions of dollars on. They were the first ones to do it. They're the first ones to market. That's a unique selling mechanism. Programs fucking blow.
Yeah.
Right? But the actual mechanism of it is like, this is a beautiful app. I love this app. It's very easy to use.
Yep.
And then there's that. So you could essentially even just sell the same thing as everybody else, but then maybe you're doing the calls. Like that's a mechanism that cannot be replicated.
Right.
It's you.
Like if you sign up for my program, I only talk every Tuesday. I'm not your coach.
Right.
I have coaches who coach you.
Yes.
And if you want to coach with me, then like, first off, I'll just say no.
Right.
But if I did even want to remotely even think about it, it'd be like
Too expensive to
a lot,
make sense.
you know, and I would just, whatever. So, you can always make yourself unique and make yourself stand out and create value in some other way.
I'm fascinated because like I think what happens. So I had this moment, little quick story, where I saw a friend start taking his social media seriously. He started offering some products and just blow up, take off, and start living the life for himself that I wanted for myself and for my family. And it gave me this little bit of hope that like, oh man, this is possible. And you don't have to be, because in my mind at the time, anyone who's famous on Instagram selling fitness, they're just an influencer, and that has all these connotations, which obviously is not true. And then I'm looking and I'm seeing people who, of my opinion, are fucking dumb, who are either straight up lying.
Most of them.
Either purely lying about what it is that they're saying, the value that they can provide, or, in my opinion, are completely incompetent, But yet I'm sitting here on the sideline, not doing anything, not working, wishing that I was having the success they were having, but they were having it. And so I had this moment like, well, who's the idiot?
You're crying in your car.
Literally, yeah. I'm crying in my car.
I've seen it.
You know what I mean? They're making up. They're lying on Instagram in their Bentley. You know what I mean? So I had that moment. But the reason I bring that story up is to say this is like, we're sitting here with you, and you were you were a hell of an athlete, then a gym owner, and then you took the nudge from someone to start this process. What was it? You said 2016 with growing your online.
Ish, yeah.
And then fast forward to today. And by all accounts, you're living a life beyond your wildest dreams.
Yeah, I probably done like 30 million maybe.
I mean, dude.
Something like that.
So like, and the reason I say all that, and thank you for sharing that, is because like, I think a lot of people think it won't happen to me. And it's kind of like shoot or shoot, baby. Like, I guarantee how it won't happen if you keep sitting there not doing a damn thing. But if you start taking shots and start taking risks and start following some advice from someone like you who's really laid out your plan very, very transparently.
Dude, I'll tell you guys whatever you want to hear. There's nothing about me that I am too nervous to share.
Yeah. And that brings me to my final point is like, dude, just start taking action. Because it is possible. Ryan Fischer's sitting right here, flesh and blood, baby. He fucking did it.
Well, if you guys want me to fucking just annihilate your brain, then what I would say is the first like 5 years of what I had, I hated it. Like I didn't think my product was good. I didn't think that I deserved to sell any of it. It like sold itself because people liked it.
Yeah.
And then I remember like dumping money on ads and all this stuff. And I just remember just being like, this fucking app sucks, man. Like it just looks literally like Excite Bike from like 1970 on Nintendo. And I used to even write, because I was using Wodify at the time. I have my own custom version app now, but like at the time, I just remember I actually got on a board call with everyone at Wodify, and I told them, I was like, you guys literally have the most embarrassing app in the entire, like, what does it feel like to know that you guys own the worst app in all of fitness?
Like you're on it.
I'm like, you guys have an operating system that's like a Mercedes. It's beautiful on the back end, but I'm like, it literally is a 1970 Honda Civic on the outside. It looks fucking horrific. And then here I am like selling it to everybody. Like, this is the best program. You know what I mean? Like, I just want everyone to know, like, if you're a coach right now, you don't have to have the best product for it to actually sell.
Say it again, Ryan, please.
You don't have to have the best product to actually sell. You don't even, like, you should believe in it. Like, I believed in my program. I didn't believe in the delivery process of it very much. And I was embarrassed by it. And I mean, I literally was like walking out on the red carpet with the ugliest chick known to man daily. I'm like, this is my fucking ugly ass bitch. And I love her so much. And that's me crying. And like that, I just want you guys to know that, like, maybe you don't have the best app, or maybe you feel like you're not that good right now or whatever. But like at the end of the day, 70% of people are fat. 20% of the population has a gym membership. 90% of those motherfuckers don't show up. If you can just smile enough to motivate them and give them something that they will just show up and do, and tell them how to eat a little bit better, it's not fucking hard.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they really want the relatable person. Yeah. That's why somebody will buy the person's shit that only has 2,000 followers. I have plenty of friends who have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 followers, make $40,000 a month. Like, that's a lot of money for most people. Like, I think they say like top 1% is $400,000 a year, something like that. People are doing that all day long who know fuck all. Who don't have great content, who don't have great programs, any of these things. And they're actually, so here's the thing, before you guys are like, well, fuck that person. They're making impact though.
Yeah, dude.
They're making, like, they're changing, like, people are losing weight and people are looking really great. I mean, at the end of the day, like, if you want a coach to take you from a college basketball player to Michael Jordan, it's a totally different conversation. But I just don't think that that's the vast majority of people. Yeah. And if you want to make a lot of money, that's not what you're going to be doing anyway. There's like maybe one guy who makes money doing that. Yep. 7 guys. I don't know. Like, I remember when I got out of college, I wanted to be a strength conditioning coach for an NFL football team. How many football teams are there? There's not that many.
Right.
Not that many jobs available.
Nope.
But you want to go into weight loss, you want to go into something else. It's like you have all these opportunities and you just don't have to be the best guy out there. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Like, I think about that all the time. And I'm going to speak at a big business conference in Dubai in like a few weeks. And that's like one of the things I'm going to tell everybody is just like, there's people that do not deserve it nearly as much as you with a worse product than you doing way better than you.
Yep.
And like, you can talk about your goals all day, but the person who takes just one tiny step towards their goal is miles ahead of you.
Get over yourself and start doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I love that.
I like my product now, by the way.
Yeah. The product is badass now. That's
got a girlfriend.
You will get better. You know, if you care, you will. Yeah. I'm rolling out something different for the red carpet. Do you already offer any like mentorship or like coaching for coaches or anything in the world of like building your own business? I'm sure it's been brought up to you before.
People reach out to me all the time, and because I don't have any of that stuff built out, the only thing I do is I'm like, hey, if you want to like do like an hour phone call together, and then basically, you know, we'll screen share, I'll go over all of your funnels, I'll go over all of your stuff, and like I'll charge you like $2,000. And I get people do that like every month. Yeah. I actually just made some guy's business so much money recently. It was pretty awesome. Yeah.
You might have to invest in really fun
coaching.
Yeah. Well, it's the reason I bring that up is it's you know, I have consultations that people can purchase and you know, we can go over stuff. And recently I've had a few people get on, and it's the best when, you know, I'm like, hey, let's do X, Y, and Z. Here's the game plan. Let me know how that goes. We should probably meet by this time. It's on you. But I'm expecting to see some action. I'll be watching people take the action and it fucking working immediately. I'm like, oh, I might like this as much as I do training people. Yeah. That was really fulfilling and awesome to watch.
Yeah, it's really cool.
But to your point, I also too, it's like but that's why I asked, because I wanted to know if that's something that you did, or, you know, if you had plans for the future to, you know, build a community there or anything like that.
If I had the opportunity to only do that right now, it would make me a little bit more excited.
Yeah.
The only thing is I've built such a big thing with chalk that I feel like, why would I not build this thing
Bigger.
to potentially sell it or just make it bigger because I already have all this progress already?
Is that the end goal with chalk? Is that like, or at least has that been like the North Star for the longest, or are you just unsure?
It never really was, to be
Yeah.
fair. But now that I like, there's so much traction on it that I'm just like, oh man, like it'd be really hard to like let this go and kind of go to a different direction.
Yeah.
Because I know that if you just stay the path, like that'll always be better than switching.
Yep.
But I am at that point in my life now where I've been doing the same thing for so long that it's hard to be. I never get over like the transformations and people's stories and stuff like that, but it's hard for me to show up and be like writing workouts for the app.
Yep.
Like as like it's hard to get excited about it as I used to.
Totally that's so relatable.
But that's it. That's really it. It's just like I would like to do something new, but I understand that sometimes the hardest things in life are the things that are worth the most. So it's like maybe just keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
So I'm gonna give you a scenario before we get into our segment.
Sure.
So let's say there's, a person they've been training for like 5 years. Their friends, know them as the fitness guy or whatever, and they just started an Instagram fitness account and they want to get out of their day job that they hate and do what you do full time. What would be the first thing you would do? They have 0 followers, just put their picture up, 1 squat video. What's your next steps?
Well, the first one would just be like, get like a solid 10 people that you want to be like them and just start creating content that's very similar to them. Mm-hmm. But then also just spin it in your own unique way where it's like, what's different about you that they're not doing? Like think about their pages, like, man, this is a beautiful video. Like I like the concept of this, but like there's no depth to these people. Like most people, that's the biggest thing is like, you can smash people just by depth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't even tell you how many times I've literally cried on my Instagram, like a grown ass man. Like I've cried about shit. Like I've brought up like horrible hardships. Like everything, dude, like anything you could ever imagine. I literally thought I had like testicular cancer one time, and I was just like, man, my fucking balls hurt. Like the last 3 days, I think I fucked something up. Like if anyone could help me, like, and like doctors will come on and give me like fucking like recommendations.
It's like, we'll set up a Zoom call now. Whip them out.
people love that shit. Like on my story the other day, I did a Q&A and someone said, would you ever consider like letting me sit on your face? And I responded to it because it's one of those things that like, I'm a successful business guy. And people like don't expect me to like respond to something like that, but I did, and I had this hilarious response, and I got hundreds of DMs of people just like, dude, this is why I follow you. This is funny as fuck.
Hell yeah! And
it's like that unique quirkiness about you is what will really separate you. So copy what's working, but then just put your own unique spin on it that makes you you. Mm-hmm. And like the more weird and fucked up you are, like that's the stuff that actually sells. Once you have some weird quirkiness about you that someone connects with, boom, that's it. That person's yours forever.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with how many followers you have. It's like you like Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And squats.
Yeah. Sign me up.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Or like, you live in Austin, Texas and go to the Collective and blah, blah, blah. It's weird little things that people really like. Like the amount of people who sign up for my program because they know that I just met my dad 2 years ago is wild.
Wow.
Like
you would never think that would be a move for me to sell programs.
Yeah, like someone actually just collabed with me on a post like 2 days ago on my page, and he was like, "I started following you." He wrote this really nice thank you because he was just at my gym for the first time, and he just was like, his whole post is like a testimonial to me as a person. Not even he's been following my program for like 7 years, but he's just like talking about me as a person and how much I've helped him. And it's literally like he said he started following me because of my bicep tendon, and when I broke this, I vowed to not work out at all for 4 months. Mm-hmm. I could have like started to work out a little bit, but I wanted to see how much my body would change if I just did nothing for 4 months and only dialed in on nutrition only.
Wow.
And that was what got him to want to follow me.
Dang.
Granted, during that time, I looked like shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It wasn't about that though.
And that was when he started to follow me.
Wow.
So like, think about how powerful that is. Like,
it's counterintuitive.
Yeah, it's super counterintuitive. So yeah, if you're that person out there, you got 0 followers, make yourself unforgettable.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Damn, this guy's good.
Yeah, he's good. That was good. Yeah, that's something personally too, because there are a lot of things that I'll share from time to time on the podcast or whatever that I haven't been willing or have been hesitant to make a regular part of content creation and just the message that I deliver, and from addiction to mental health. issues that whenever I do, though, there are always people who comment or say like, hey, thank you, or hey, me too. And it's tough because like for me, I think it honestly, as I'm speaking about it out loud, I'm realizing that it's just like an imposter syndrome thing where it's like, I don't want to, well, there's a piece of me that doesn't want to like use that for my own personal gain. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But then there's another side of me that feels like it's selfish also to not share that. And I think there's probably almost certainly a way to go about it that isn't like self-seeking, but in a way that's actually in an effort to try and connect and, you know.
You don't even think about it. What you do is you take a pen and you write it down. Like as soon as you, like instead of like trying to make a video or trying to make a script or any of that, and don't use fucking ChatGPT, don't use a notepad on your phone, like actually take a pen and just start writing. And that's the answer. Because like at the end of the day, I get super self-conscious because I love my mom more than anything on this planet. Like she raised me and like she was my mom and my dad and she's fucking everything to me. And I know it hurts her when I post about my dad, like for sure. Yeah. It hurts my stepdad that I post about my dad. But I have to do that shit for me. One, it's my diary of my life, and like I get to write my chapters, and it's my fucking pen. I'll do what I want with it when I want with it. So if it makes me feel good, I'm gonna write it the way that it's supposed to be written.
Yeah.
And then that just is what it is. But I'm not gonna worry about how anybody else thinks about it. I'm gonna tell the truth, and this is what it is. So I think the best times that I have like the best words are usually if I just like write it down, and then I'll just, you know, we can put it, you know, into Instagram or whatever. But like writing it down with a pen, I think is the thing.
I like that.
Ryan, we're going to get into some segments, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this shit, dude. Yeah. Right on.
All right. So first segment, this segment is brought to you by Squat Wedgies. Use code coachemup 15 for 15% off at checkout for the best damn squat wedges on the planet. God damn, that was a good ad read.
Really good, Tim.
This segment is called Three Things. So, Ryan, what are three things that the new coach who looks at Ryan Fischer and says, that's where I want to be one day? What are three things, attitudes, actions? What are three things that someone can start doing now to start moving towards that goal?
Personal development is the number one thing on top of everything. You literally cannot make anyone's lives better until you make yourself better. The greatest gift that you could do is to become the person that your younger self needed.
God.
So essentially, if you could think about the three qualities that your younger self needed, those are probably the three qualities that are going to get you the furthest in life. So that might be actually taking care of yourself a little bit more, like maybe showing up a little bit differently. I would say the number one thing that has immeasurably changed my life is just showing up the best that I can every single time.
Yeah.
Like just prepare more, man. Just prepare for everything. You know what I mean? Prepare for someone that you don't know. Prepare to show up to a gym that you've never been to. Like maybe you're nervous to show up to a gym. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're nervous to show up to your first day at the basketball team or whatever. But like think about the kind of conversations that are going to happen before you even get there. Think about the kind of questions that people are going to ask before you even get there. Like those are the kinds of things, like those reactions. Because a lot of times we put ourselves in a scenario and then we have these responses to different questions. I'm sure I'll have some even after this podcast. I'm like, fuck, I wish I answered it like this.
Yep.
And it's like, it's my fault. I didn't prepare enough.
Yep.
Everything is your fault.
Isn't that great news though?
Good or bad.
Yeah. If your business is falling apart and you have shitty employees, you trained them shitty.
Yeah.
Like if your life's falling apart because blah, 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 it's like you have shitty delegation of time and you're not following through on things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or you make $30 million. It's also your fault.
That's right. Yeah. That's right, baby. Bali trip coming soon.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of my mentors is Alex Ramosi. I got to been really good friends with him for a really long time, which was great. And his wife, Layla, I was complaining about my business one time and she was just like, you know, all of this is your fault, right? And I was like, no, my fucking, this person sucks. And she's just like, what have you done to train them? It's probably your fault. And I just was like,
stop it.
I was like, fuck.
I'm fucking mad, but she's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think like more than three is like the fact, like create the qualities that your younger self needed.
Yeah.
There's multiple things there. And then I think the second one is everything is your fault and just step out and see why that is and then move forward.
Nice. That was great.
I like everything is your. You should make a T-shirt. Everything's your fault. Yeah. All right, this next segment is brought to you by Plyomat, the best damn plyomat on the planet. Coachemup 5 at checkout.
God damn, Zach, you're doing it.
This next segment, I'm notoriously bad at these. The next segment is Rant and Rave, and let's keep it to new coaches starting out. What's a big rant you have, and then what's a big rave you have for that?
The big rant is that you think your shit needs to be perfect, and it doesn't. The best things I've ever launched, challenges, new programs, all that stuff, I thought that it was not ready, and it was fucking dog shit, and it crushed. And then I'd fix it and make it, I was like, fine, finally it's what I want. Everyone hated it.
Yeah.
God.
And I was like, God damn it.
I fucking hate hearing that, but it's so true.
I've made a lot of money on challenges, probably like 10 million.
Really?
And like all of my best challenges were like the lowest amount of deliverables, like just a PDF guide, like nothing crazy. And then I would do like calls, and you get, you know, the app for like fucking 3 months, and you get this and you get that and blah, 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 and it would do worse. And I'm just like, Jesus,
What the fuck is going on?
So that's so what was it again? So
A rant and a rave. So your
rant and a
rant
rave.
was, you just did your rant.
That's
and
the rant.
then rave about it.
Yeah, what's something you love?
Something I love.
Or something you want to see more of?
I just want to see, I was gonna say, like, I like to see like more honesty from people.
Yeah.
Like I don't like when people just are on Instagram just for business. I like all the weird shit too. Like and there's just nothing, there's nothing there. Like if you're just like, you're always the training guy, you're always this guy, I get it. But like, I don't know. I want to see you fucking stub your toe on your fucking bed tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, fuck your toe.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Yeah, that was dope. I hope that shit hurt bad. Yeah.
I like the honesty, the real shit. Yeah, I like that stuff.
Hell yeah. All right, this next segment is brought to you by Atlanta Strength. No code, guys. They're just the best machines on the planet. A Canadian company. We love the Canadians.
We do
on
love
the
the
show.
Canadians.
Shout out Canada.
I will say too, Atlantis is fucking insane.
Oh my God.
It's like ridiculous.
It's
They're
absurd.
Yeah.
They're crushing it.
yeah, they're like a smooth Trojan.
Yeah.
Exactly. We'll tell that in our next call.
I'm gonna hit up their marketing team and let them know that there's a collab coming up between Atlantis and Trojan. Yeah, they have a headquarters, and I'm angling to try and get up there. And they have every piece of equipment that they have. So that's
Get a big Rhabdo day.
yeah, hell yeah, dude. Got Rhabdo in Canada. shout out Rhabdo. All right, so this is brought to you by Atlanta Strength. If you weren't a coach, what would you be and why?
Whew. And like an adventure guide.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
You were mentioning you love travel.
Yeah, I could be broke in like a jungle somewhere and be fine. Probably like a mountain bike instructor or like anything like that.
A
Like
ski instructor would be such a cool job.
yeah,
Just hang out in the
I
slopes
love
all
shit like
day.
that. Like I think that
Hell
would be
yeah.
super. But I'd like a multi-sport kind of
Yeah.
situation where like maybe in the summer I did mountain biking and like surfing and stuff, and then in the winter we did like snowboarding and like stuff like that. Like maybe like a heliboarding instructor or something
Yeah.
like
God,
that.
that would be fucking epic.
I'm going to use that as my
What a
next
badass-
answer.
yeah, that's
if
a
anyone
great
ever asks me
answer.
that, I'm going to say that. Because that's actually what I do want to be. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I actually went heliboarding last year in Alaska for the first time, and it was fucking life changing.
They're pretty scary.
Oh, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't know if I have the stones to jump out of a fucking helicopter.
Well, my left knee is like going every year. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And,
Right.
I was like, I'm doing it this year, and
It
it's
has to be done now.
got to be done as soon as possible.
You're like, if I tear it up, it's 4 months and not
And I
training.
fucked it up worse, and I just was like, good.
Yeah, perfect.
Get it.
That is a
Yeah,
good story.
yeah.
though.
What put your knee over the edge? Well, I jumped out of a fucking helicopter on a snowboard. Yeah.
Dude, it's a hell of a feeling when you're in Alaska on like mountains that are just unbelievable looking, and you're at the edge and you can't see down.
Oh my god,
Makes me wanna
dude,
throw
that's
up.
actually giving me anxiety.
And then as soon as you drop
I'm not
down,
even
you're just
fucking
like-
being dramatic.
Whatever happens, happens.
And you cannot stop because
Yeah.
there's too much snow.
Yeah.
So it takes you, because I've fallen a few times, and like it takes you like 20 minutes to get out of the fucking shitstorm that
Oh,
you're
dude,
in. after
that's
you fall.
terrifying to me. Oh my god,
So you're going like 100 miles an hour, just shredding,
hauling ass.
and you're just like, fuck.
Dude.
God, that is sexual.
God, that's intense.
Yeah, holy smokes. Okay. This next segment is brought to you by Amazfit. Use coachemup at checkout. Get you 20% off.
Site wide.
Pretty cool
The
watch like
T-Rex
this.
watch. It's literally named after a dinosaur. I'll never not say it. I was sold at T-Rex. Jurassic Park's my favorite movie of all time.
Tim's a simple man.
I am. Dinosaurs and fast trucks.
So you're walking through Austin. You're down the legendary SoCo Street. You popped your head into Continental Club, saw a few bands playing, got out. You're waiting for your Uber. There's a guy sitting, I think, waiting on his Uber too. What's some unsolicited, solicited advice you would give him?
Just a random dude.
Just a
no
random motherfucker.
reason.
You're gonna lean in and you're gonna be like,
Give him
hey,
some advice. Training,
XYZ.
life, nutrition,
anything.
whatever.
It can be anything at all.
Be unforgettable.
Fuck yeah, dude. Let's go. Ryan brings it home. God damn it.
Well, this has been an unforgettable episode.
It has been unforgettable. Ryan, you're the fucking man, dude. Ryan, all right. Where can people find you? Where can they connect with you, dude?
Ryan Fish on Instagram. It's RyanFisch. And chalkperformancetraining.com is where everything kind of starts with the app. And then I'll probably send you some upsells at some point in time to get on one-on-one coaching.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's go. Shout out upsells.
and that's it, guys. Like, I just want you guys to remember that if you're a coach out there or something like that, that's kind of your main audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, just start doing the thing. You'd be surprised what happens when you do.
Hell yeah, man. Y'all start doing the thing. Guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Ryan, thank you again for coming on, man. What a fucking blast.
It's been great.
It was awesome. Great. Well, we're definitely going to try and rope you in. I'm going to upsell you now on coming back.
Nice.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. If you don't subscribe, do it. We love you. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Peace.